No makeup, hair, like no like extraordinary costumes. They're saving a lot of time for that, and you can sit at home and chill with a cup of coffee and talk. That's
I've learned to do my own Botox, so that's fine.
How have you learned to do your own Botox? Please tell us. I'm sure everybody wants to know.
Rahul, teach us.
Thank you so much, Team Bulbbul, for joining me. I guess, have you gotten used to this new way of promotion?
More or less. We're getting used to it.
Yeah.
You don't have to wear anything except a t-shirt, so that's fine.
That's good.
I just want to say, go ahead, Paoli. What were you saying?
No makeup, hair, like no like extraordinary costumes. They're saving a lot of time for that, and you can sit at home and chill with a cup of coffee and talk. That's
I've learned to do my own Botox, so that's fine.
How have you learned to do your own Botox? Please tell us. I'm sure everybody wants to know.
Rahul, teach us.
Are you crazy? This is a competitive doggy talk world. I have to be one step ahead.
Yeah.
So basically, I watched Bulbbul film. It's actually like a book, a storybook, and the atmospheric, the reds and the tones. What was it like shooting for this film, and what made you say yes for, playing the roles that you have done in this movie?
Paoli?
I was going to start. Okay. So for me, I grew up in Bengal, listening to all these stories, and have always been fascinated with folk tales, folklore, fairy tales, and even now, so this was the first time I got an opportunity to work in a film which was based on that. Though we are talking about Bulbbul as a folklore, we are talking about Bulbbul as a supernatural thriller, but there's a lot of things in it, a lot of elements in it, when it comes to longing, friendship, as you've watched, this a sense of a betrayal. So all these emotions are there, and also the film talks about the social norms and the victimization of women in that misogynistic society of the late 19th century, where it was in Bengal, so where the film has been set. So that I think that's something very unique for me, into that space, into that supernatural thrilling space. And overall, I think I loved the script. I was when I spoke to my director, I found her so confident, and she knew what she wanted from every actor, and it was overall, it's a beautiful feeling after reading the script, and especially the character, of course, Binodini. So yeah, that's what made me say yes to the film.
Yes, gentlemen. I mean, both of you are not in the same frame. I'm not going to divulge anything about the storyline, and both your characters, makes you wonder. They're layered. So tell us about your experience.
I think the fact that the idea of this film, it tries to delve very deep into the root of an age-old folklore, and it spins a story, a tale, which is set in the 19th century, but makes it so relevant even for today, even for society today. I think that itself makes for a very unique space for a film. On one hand, it is a supernatural thriller. At the same time, it's a period drama. It's also a tale of love, longing, yearning, passion, everything, friendship. And while being all of this, it is still extremely socially relevant in today's times as well, as much as it was in those times. That itself makes it a very, very unique genre for the film, which makes it very exciting. And secondly, I think the way my part, the part that I have played in the film, the way it is posited, he almost comes from another Bengal into this other Bengal. I think as with most other regions of our country or the country as a whole, there are many Bengals, there are many North Indias, there are many South Indias, right? It cannot be generalized with only Rasgulla and Howrah Bridge and Rabindranath Tagore and Durga Puja, right? So I think the time that we are talking about, the 19th century Bengal, on one hand you are having the Bengali Renaissance going on in and around Calcutta, or the old ideas, regressive ideas are being rejected, and and social reformers are championing the causes of remarriage, rights for women, prohibit child marriage. At the same time, only a few hours away from Calcutta lies this remote little village where all these practices are still very much prevalent. And from this other Bengal into this Bengal, and while trying to save people's lives, while trying to usher in these new ideas, while trying to enlighten people, and while being a man of science, he also has this little space of acknowledgement for things which might be beyond science, which might be beyond explanation, and that makes him a very wise person. On one hand, he's an idealist. At the same time, it also makes him an utter realist. So this is a very unique. I thought it was a very unique space for the film, and a very unique space for the character as well. Yes.
Rahul, you've been very, very selective about the kind of stuff that you do. Anyways.
No, I just don't get offered anything. So the 5 parameters that I normally have, not normally, I've always applied, is what do I think of the story? And I thought Bulbbul is a cracking story. How's my character? You've seen the film, so it's something I've never done before. Trying to do something like this, very interesting. How important is my character in the scheme of the tale? Do I drive the tale? Yes, he does. Who are my co-actors? Paoli, Param, of course, have a body of work behind them that is excellent. And
look who's talking.
Tripti and Avinash.
Yeah.
Tripti and Avinash, they were wonderful in the workshop. And finally, who is the director?
We were
and
so scared of Rahul.
You were scared of me?
Yeah, initially, even I didn't know you. Now,
yeah, really?
Yeah, I was very. We were all. I think, oh my God, this is Rahul Bose coming. He's gonna like. Oh, we really have so much.
By the way, I had the same feeling, and because I just love his work, I just love his cinema, and they're very dear to
but
me.
You love
so
my
I was
body.
just looking forward. Body of work? I like. No, come on.
No, actually, do you love my body? You can love my work. You can love my. Please tell me at the end of it that you also love
me. Of course. Of course. In the news. I'm not going into anything. So it was an honor to work with Rahul actually.
Achha, can I please answer the question? There's a serious interview happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. So as far as the director is concerned, and I'm sorry guys, you guys will be bored because I've said this before. I think that Anvita has brought a fresh, distinctive voice into the Indian film industry, which is very rare for a first-time director and equally rare for directors who've made many, many films. To have a voice like a Tim Burton kind of voice or a Coen Brothers kind of voice or a Quentin Tarantino kind of voice, and I'm not saying Anvita is them, I'm just saying that that's what I mean when I say a voice. That next time you see an Anvita Dutt film, you pretty much know that you're going to be in for a ride that is thrilling, that is sly, that is sharp, that is funny, that is deceptively gentle, aesthetically beautiful. These are the set of qualities you already see. I already see Anvita being fidel to through her career because that's who she is. But it's exciting to have a new, unique voice in the industry, which I think is a great thrill. I'm sure it is for Paoli and Param too, but it's wonderful being a part of that.
And also, Rahul, you say you don't get offered it. Is it because you are somebody who refuses to compromise and sticks to his beliefs? Because there are very few people who stand by what they believe in. And in the kind of industry we are in, sometimes you need to compromise on your own intent.
Listen, Pooja. When I met Anvita, I told her, please don't exploit my mind. Please don't make me wear lots of clothes. Make me wear very few clothes. Let me sing and dance. Let me discover myself. But when I went on the set, before I knew it, they exploited me. They made me think. They made me analyze. They made me feel. They made me act. They gave me long clothes. It's such a tale of the exploitation, I can't tell you, after what I was promised.
Oh, I feel like meeting you in person and giving you a hug right now. I'm so sorry about that.
No, but coming back to it, there's
a serious.
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead. No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, please go ahead. I was coming back to you.
This is a question of compromise. We are actors because we love to do this. If we wanted to make money, we would be bankers, or maybe we would be hoarding food grains right now. But we're not. So we do it because we love doing it. And so, what is the question of compromise when it is something that your heart has led you to get into? It's a fragile, mad world out there, and as actors, we're just trying to, do what our hearts tell us to do. So, I don't even understand the word compromise because I understand it in the context of survival. But if I wanted to survive, why would I do a bad film versus becoming a rugby coach in a school? That would be a much more honorable way for me to make money, in my opinion.
Sure. But do you feel with these platforms and digital, so much is being made that now we are seeing a change in narrative and content? Do you think it's happier days ahead in terms of content creators and for actors and for directors, newer stories?
So are you asking me?
All of you.
Then let them take it. I've just gasped for a long time.
I think it does embolden you as an artist in the sense that so there are two sides to it. One is you can now think of telling tales, think of telling stories which you wouldn't otherwise, or you would be restricted, or you would be advised not to. And there are at least some significant strains, which significant voices now, which encourage you to tell those stories. That's there definitely. And on the other hand, as an actor, especially an actor from an industry in which films are made in another language but Hindi. I don't like the word regional, so I try to stay away from that particular term. I would say language cinema. What happens for us is like, so whatever little Hindi work we do, a Hindi-speaking member of the audience, he or she would go onto a portal, watch a film of ours, a Hindi film of ours, and then if he or she ends up liking it, what they do, they look up the Bengali catalog for us, our Bengali catalogs, and they end up watching some of our films as well. So, and then they start, messaging us on social media that, sir, we don't understand Bengali, but we watch this and that Bengali film of yours with subtitles, we end up loving it so much. So what happens is it is automatically also broadening the audience base for all artists in a country as varied and as multilingual and as plural as ours. So that is a great thing that, in my opinion.
Paoli, you've done several digital shows as well and films too.
Not several. My first show on an OTT platform is Kali.
Kali,
It was produced by Parambrata.
Yes. Sorry? Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I knew that was coming, so I thought better to say it like in the first go. So anyway, so that was my first series, and that's the only series I've done so far. And Bulbbul will be my first digital film that way. So film that way, yeah. So you were just talking about like opportunities. Of course, there's a huge opportunities for new voices. Otherwise who wouldn't have gotten a chance before to tell their stories. And I think like the key factor of behind these stories is the creative freedom that they get on the OTT platforms. The huge creative freedom that people get now. And also viewers are looking for diverse content, and it can be directed by a well-known director, a renowned director, or it can be a first-time director. What they want is a good content. What they want is a good story, which they can relate to. So I think, of course, like you can have scope of experimenting in different kind of genre, and these stories which were just confined to us Indians. It can be any region. It can be set up in any
India or maybe Eastern India. So these stories are now traveling across the world, regardless of language, and they are reaching out to so many people. Like on Netflix, I think it's 190 countries Bulbbul is going to reach on the 24th, on the same day. And it's amazing. It is exciting because for me, it's something new. So I'm good and happy.
Rahul.
Sorry, Pooja?
Yes, no, just the same question with the content. And what's your take also? And also, will we see a change in narrative post-COVID? I mean, post-lockdown, because things are changing. I mean, one doesn't know what's the new normal. This is the new normal, I guess. You're living it.
Well, I think that the greatest separator between OTT and theater, if you must make that separation in terms of content, is the fact that the Star Wars and the films that require a massive cinematic experience will stay solidly releasing in theaters, and also all the big budget productions that an OTT platform cannot pay back and make a profit for the producer, they will have to stay and work with cinema halls and international sales and blah 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 blah. Outside of that, especially series, obviously, for the format. But also, I think that the OTT format is very forgiving towards series that don't have a beginning and end in one episode. So when it's not so much plot driven, but atmospheric driven, like the Nordic noir procedurals and things, then that format is so much more forgiving, and therefore you can get onto an OTT platform. I will not mention names, but there are films I have seen where I've said, this would have been a much better series because it's really interesting in its feel, but not interesting in its substance. So in that respect, OTT platforms are here to stay. Look, for actors like me, it's a second lease of life because I didn't have a career in the last 3 or 4 years because on the big screen, budgets have gone so high because of all the expenses attached to filmmaking that an actor like me cannot justify getting a lead role in one of those films because I can't get that box office for the producer, and I have no rancor about it. It's the truth. But now with the OTT platforms, I've just last 2.5 years, Pooja, you don't even know. I've been acting in a huge mega series in one of the leads. 13 months I've been acting in that. It hasn't released, and another series in a very meaty guest appearance, 3 out of 5 episodes. So who would have thought that I would be acting for the last 2.5 years after Purna's release? But there you go. So all good.
That's awesome. I know, and it's been wonderful to see you all. So before I wrap up, just quickly, I mean, since it's like there's no horror as such, but they always say there's always some activity on location. Did anything happen? They always say there's some paranormal activity when you're shooting something like this. Were you all scared? I know you were scared of Rahul, but other than that, were you scared of anyone else?
Should I tell them my story?
Avinash was mentioning some. Yeah. You can say that.
So Pooja, I mean, you're the first person that I'm going to say it to in public. I don't know how to. It makes me sound so stupid, but I'll say it anyway. Please trust me. I don't believe in ghosts and spirits. But while we were shooting Bulbbul, not in the hotel, not on the set, not off camera, but whenever the camera rolled, Pooja, whenever it rolled, there would be this apparition that I would see. And that too clothed in a throwback, gorgeously clothed in 1800, turn of the century, late 1800s kind of clothing. With those colors, those grays, those ashes, like you see in Bulbbul, right? And only when the camera rolled, literally. And the apparition would come towards me, who's an unbeliever, and would say a few words to me and walk back. And I got really freaked. So I kept quiet for 3 or 4 days, and finally I spoke to Avinash and Tripti very hesitantly. And I said, guys, please tell me that you guys can also see this apparition. There's this woman who comes up, floats up when the camera, only when the camera is about to roll, and floats back. And they looked at me and they said, that's the director, Anvita Dutt.
With a rollie in her hand.
Just
Pooja doesn't know what to make of the story.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, it was lovely. So before we go, a person dead or alive that you would want to be quarantined with?
What?
A person dead or alive that you would want to be quarantined with?
Penelope Cruz.
Dead? No way.
Or alive. You can call in a ghost. Or alive. Anyone.
Alive for me, man. It is clear as simple. It is Penelope Cruz.
चलो आगे बाद में हम बात कर लेंगे आपके लिए.
बात कर लेते हैं बाद में.
There are so many. Okay, Ryan Gosling.
Wow, what a list. Well, yeah. So Ryan Gosling. So Rahul, we'll end with you. Who would you prefer?
My cook, Rekha.
Makes a lot of
I
sense.
love it.
Because she
Very
cooks
good.
great food. My God, it sounds so
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
No. Because she's a wonderful cook.
Anyways, thank you so much, everybody. I personally loved Bulbbul because I wanted to know what happens hereafter because I was a little intrigued about the story after. Let's see if they come up with another folklore. But thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Pooja. Look after
Thank
yourself.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Pooja.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Thank you so much. Bye.